you up. So without further ado, today's topic is making Zoom your best mate. Broad subject, as I'm sure you can imagine. I will go off slides. I have a pack of slides for today. Slides are good prompts, but in all presentations, they're not the be all and end all. You do need to have a look at actually other things that are going on. We have 86 people booked for today. So far, I think there's about 40 that have actually joined. Thank you again so much for joining me. I will send out slap legs notices to those that didn't actually attend. I'm going to share my screen now. And here we go. So hopefully everybody can see that. And I have become a small box in the right-hand corner. So making Zoom your best mate, April 2021. About me, well, yes, I've already waffled on and I've got loads of wonderful things that I've done in the past. This is perhaps the more interesting thing about me. My boyhood dreams all came true in 2014 when I actually met my childhood hero, Sylvester Stallone. I was surprised to see he was about the same height as me. I'm 5'11.5" and never quite made the 6 foot. And if you actually see on there, I think we look like we've got similar builds. So next time, Sly, I'm challenging you for the super heavyweight world championship of the world or whatever it is that Rocky Balboa holds. I always start presentations with this picture and you will see why later. I also start presentations with this. It's important that you have the right mix of things within a presentation because it's very, very easy for them to become very boring very quickly. You don't want that. Certainly my cats don't want that. So hopefully from today, you will get some skills that ensure that that doesn't happen. So preparing your Zoom presentation. Preparing your Zoom presentation, it's very important to actually prepare. I am quite fortunate that presenting skills has always come quite naturally to me. As a kid, I also did lots of acting. I did appear in a number of television things and have never been shy about talking in public. I think I also would subscribe to Winston Churchill's thoughts on this, which is if you want me to talk for 3 hours in front of a crowd of 10,000 people, I will happily go on stage right now and start talking. If, however, you want me to talk to 10 people for 10 minutes, I need 3 weeks to prepare. Now, I think that is something that is quite true. In person, I'm actually quite naturally shy, but once I've got an audience, I do enjoy it. There's lots of things that you do need to ensure that you have in place: a decent camera, a decent microphone. These are not expensive. I will put some links up on our YouTube page to the ones that we use across Carter, Collins and Meyer. The cameras are about 60 quid a piece. The microphones are about 65, 70 pound a piece. I edit the videos afterwards on the free software that comes with an iPhone. iMovie or something it's called. Simply record your Zoom broadcast to the cloud. There is a button on there saying record. It gives you 2 options: record to cloud or record to the computer. Record to the cloud. Save it once you've done it to a desktop. Email yourself, pick it up onto your iPhone, edit it on your iPhone as you would do any other video footage, upload it straight onto YouTube. Job done, and essentially free. I am a big fan of guerrilla marketing. Guerrilla not as in monkeys, guerrilla as in partisan freedom fighters, those little armies that can go up into the mountains and take on the huge armies of the world and win. Guerrilla marketing is the biggest asset you as small business owners have. Yes, Coca-Cola may be able to go out and buy tons and tons of TV time when you certainly cannot, but the power of a handwritten postcard or an individual presentation is extreme. I have to say, until whatever it is, 13 months ago now, I hadn't put out a video specifically for, well, anything in truth. I had long done blogging. I would happily turn up and speak at events, but video was new to me. The very first one is on our YouTube channel. It's got the faults that a lot of YouTube or a lot of initial Zoom presentations make. One of which is linking back to cameras and microphones. The microphone was a long way away from me, and therefore you can't hear the sound very clearly. There is a lot that doesn't have a muffle shield on it, which is that piece of cloth that you see around them, so you can hear lots and lots of background noise and me breathing. And the camera was down low. If you think about it, when you take selfies, the classic selfie is always up high. You don't take it from down low because it gives you the double chin going on. One of the keys that I think to this is if you use the camera setup and microphones that I will put on our link, you ensure that the microphone is no more than 12 inches from you, which mine is today, and the camera is on top of your computer screen. The screen I am sharing with you right now, which also forms my notes for talking, actually has the camera on top of it. That gives a lovely angle for me to look at you so that you get my best profile, which I always think is there, actually. Maybe there. I'll wait for your feedback. Without further ado, there are 12 top tips in this. There's loads of slides. I promise it won't be death by PowerPoint though, because I will nail through some of them as we get going. So yeah, wonderful. Great design of presentations. Keep it simple. Big fan of keeping it simple. You will notice any presentation we do is a white screen with black writing with me in the top right-hand corner. You get the full me at the beginning and the end. The rest of the time, as I say, you can see clearly on screen. You don't want loads of colors. I believe you don't want loads of complicated backgrounds or graphics. They have a habit of making screens strobe, that effect where you get tweed can do it as well. I have a tweed jacket on before I started talking. I had to actually take my tweed jacket off because once I started looking at it on the camera, it was causing that strobing where it looks like it's moving. Backgrounds can do the same to people, particularly if you happen to wear glasses like myself. You don't want loads and loads of stuff so people having to squint on it. Yes, I have a few smaller slides as we talk on this presentation, but on the whole, they are of a reasonably decent size so that you can see them. You want them all at the same angle. You don't want stuff going off tangent across your screen or down or all over the place. It just causes it to be difficult. I don't like effects between things, although they can make stuff quite interesting for others. I prefer it to just go straight transition from one slide to the next. That's up to you, but I am very much of the keep it simple, stupid camp. Use relevant visuals. As you'll notice, I have put a couple, or I will put you have already seen a couple of pictures and slides through this. There are a couple more as we go. If it's visible information graphic that gets stuff across to your audience easily and quickly, well worth including, but don't overload them. Don't go mad with it. Charts and graphs can be useful, particularly in my day job. I am an accountant. Most people have no idea whatsoever what accounts mean. By the use of a couple of simple graphs and charts, it's amazing how you can illuminate them and suddenly make them something of value to people. Not quite sure for those of you who are listening that are will writers and estate planners how useful a graph can be. Mortality rates at somebody's age is probably not the easiest way to sell a will to them. Yes, you're going to die in the next year, but if they are relevant and can be put across, it is something worth considering. Icons and illustrations, again, I'm a big fan of those as appropriate. There is an illustrative slide that I have now been using for nearly 3 years at the beginning of most presentations to do with the state of the economy. It's Hades at the gates of hell, and it seems to still accurately reflect the mess that the government and the economy seems to stumble from and to. Videos, certainly use videos within video. A great form of demonstration of stories. None today. but it is worth considering. Dead easy to do if you have any PowerPoint skills. If you don't, you should learn some quickly. Lots and lots of free advice available, including on my own YouTube channel, Carter, Collins and Meyer. Use stock photos. You've already seen me use the cat before. GIFs and memes. Yeah, okay. It should be talked about. I don't tend to use GIFs and memes and stuff. Well, I suppose memes I did. That was the cat picture. GIFs, you can create yourself. There's software out there that allows you to do it. Entirely up to you. Can get visual attention. Make it interactive, difficult with something like day to day, but like today's ones. But I suppose I could have put a poll in there, but it's worth having things like polls, breakout rooms, chat rooms for people, get them talking to each other as you go along. I certainly do that. We do a monthly coffee and catch up for all clients. If you don't do that and you are a professional service firm, I would urge you to start. Almost everybody, including older taxpayers, I have people in the 80s and 90s that are now using Zoom, have moved across to this type of thing during the pandemic. It is dead easy to hold an open house session for all of your existing clients. Once a month, schedule coffee and catch up. Send out an invite to everybody on your database. Have it as a Zoom talk. Have it as a literally what it says it is, coffee. It's a chance for them to ask you as a professional service provider any. Also talk to each other. It's amazing what comes out of it. We have been able to have clients pass significant business between themselves and us only as the facilitator of it. But the reflected goodwill then comes to us. If you are in any form of professional service, do start doing that. Guerrilla marketing at its finest. Animations, links, hover effects are all used to great effect. Links I do put within a lot of presentations. I have to be honest, I don't do animations and hover effects. I find them too faffy for my. Tidy up your background. Well, as you can see, 99% of my videos are done at my home office. It's a fairly neutral background. There is a picture. It is a copy of a Toulouse-Lautrec, for those that are interested, that I painted myself when I was about 15, 16, and was heavily into art and painting. It's for those of you that do know anything about art or have any vague interest in it, Toulouse-Lautrec was a frequenter, oh, that's easy for me to say, of brothels, and that is actually, yes, based in a brothel. Sadly, I didn't get to visit. It is only a copy of the original. The ideal is a blank wall. On a number of my videos, you will notice a library. The best tip I have for you for libraries is don't use real ones, get a pop-up banner. Yes, my library that you see on videos is a pop-up banner. It costs £30 to have it printed, available from people like solopress.co.uk or Hello Print or numerous other online printers. I have no connection to any of them. I downloaded a high resolution format file of a wall of books and uploaded it onto their website and had it printed out. People still believe it's real. The office one is that because the office is a lot more distracting. I did bring it home at one point, but then lost interest and thought this was fairly plain. But don't have loads of things going on. Do be aware of what is in your background if you are going to do talks, particularly if you're recording them and are going to put them up on the internet. Try to have a closed door. Try to have it that people can't wander into you. It can be very distracting and detrimental to your video. Occasionally, I have had one of my cats sneak underneath the settee and suddenly spring out into the middle of the presentation. I try and then use that as something endearing. Most people on videos seem to enjoy seeing cats. It's not too bad. Yes, there has been some hilarious videos of kids wandering in and saying things they shouldn't say. There is also a great way of filming yourself, bringing yourself a cup of coffee and putting it down and using that as a background. I did talk about that in one of my videos on my YouTube channel, Carter, Collins and Meyer. There's also lots of talk around it on the internet if you want to try and be funky. On the whole, to be honest, I think you're better off just using something fairly plain and neutral. Draw attention to your face. You will notice that by the time this hits the internet, I will be slightly more zoomed in. That can be done readily using the iPhone video editor. You can literally pinch the video and focus it in. The aim should be that if your face is on screen during the video, particularly once you have stored it to upload, the camera should actually end about there. And probably, I would say, at my shoulders to cut out a lot of the background. Not as easy to do on live broadcasts, fairly reasonable background, as I say, going on. I perhaps should be slightly taller in my chair to about there. But what you don't want to do is have it that you are somewhere back here and tiny, which is the mistake a lot of people do make, particularly if they're not used to doing these things. It is important, I think, to actually have you on screen, even if you have lots of text, because then not only can your voice deliver the tonal message you actually want, you are also able to see the individual as well and the reactions in their face and eyes. We are human beings. We do react to emotional. If you take yourself off completely and have the presentation as a disconnected voice, it's not as interesting for the viewer. Everybody, and I mean everybody, doesn't like the way they look. Unless you are a total narcissist, of course. As I have said, I have done stage and TV work as a child. I've not done any as an adult. I was once a bodybuilder. The whole bodybuilding is one of the ultimate forms of narcissism. I have walked on stage in Speedos and posed. I certainly wouldn't now because you just see my fat belly. But I am equally as insecure about my looks, my big nose, my sticky out ears, and my high forehead as everybody else is. Get over it. No one cares. When you're on screen, people don't see the faults that you see. I'm not saying that you're going to be suddenly turned into Tom Cruise or Sylvester Stallone or whoever else you happen to admire. I don't admire Tom Cruise, actually, but you get the point. But people are not worried that your nose is big and you wear glasses. Do have a well-lit room that is complementary to your face. On TV, I would be shunned at the moment because I am getting a light reflection on my dome forehead. That's what TV makeup is for. We are not on TV. I accept that I have to have slight things like this. You are getting a reflection into my glasses as well. I accept that as well. Ideally, I would have a light in front of me. I do have it bounced. Light is softer, and I do have quite a strong lighting rig above me, simply because I have office spotlights that I have bounced off the back wall and to come forward off of this wall and then down onto my face. I know that is fairly decent lighting and takes out my double chin. What you don't want to do is sit yourself in a window. If you sit yourself in a window, unless you are facing into that window with the camera in front of you, and you are going to either block, well, even if you do that, in fact, if you do that, you're going to have a big black shadow across your face. And if you have the window behind you, the light is going to shine in directly behind you, and you're going to be the mystery man. You're going to be Milk Tray Man because you will be blacked out by the sunshine coming in. TV studios use artificial lighting for a reason. Outside shots are much harder for the same reason. It is much easier to close the curtains, put on a strong light, ideally have a nice uplighter in front of you that is bouncing light off of it, and then start talking or recording. And I know it's a nice sunny day today. I was tempted to actually do this talk on my phone on a selfie stick in the garden, but thought that the results would still be better here. The other problem then is you wouldn't have got any of the slides at all. And who knows whether the Wi-Fi signal would have lasted. Check your equipment. Oh God, I have had loads of failures on this. I try and start the process of turning on a webinar 15 minutes before actually giving it. If I have used it once in a day, I will leave it on all day, as in I'll turn off that individual meeting, but I'll leave the camera and microphone on all day because I now know it works. You want to test your internet connection, you want to test your video and audio, Zoom if you use it. I don't use Teams, by the way. I know nothing about Teams. I came across Zoom. It's cheap and easy. For 30 quid a month, I can broadcast up to 1,000 people on a webinar and have unlimited meetings. I think that is a fairly decent deal. I don't use any other complementary software for Zoom. As I say, I record almost everything onto it and then edit it here. I include in that, and this is where we are going totally off slides, this whole process has taught me to record almost everything. I have a team. We have 41 staff members at Carter Collins and Meyer, and we were big into writing procedures manuals. We wrote how you should open the post. We wrote how you should answer the telephone. We wrote. What I have spent the last year doing is turning those written stuff into slides like this and holding one-person meetings. The one person is myself. I turn on a meeting with just myself. I share my screen, as I'm doing today, and I press record. I talk the procedures manual to myself. I then save it, upload it to YouTube as an unlisted video. And then for any staff member or team member ever that comes in, I can then show them videos about how we do stuff here. It is fairly revolutionary in my business. If you think about it, if it's in terms of using software and you want to teach somebody how to use software, do it on a Zoom call once, and then forevermore, you have that video of how the person should use software. You can create a free YouTube account, have it as an unlisted video, so only people who know where it is can see it, and actually give your team members a link to that video to watch how to use that software, how to do that thing, how to create whatever it is that you are doing. This is a huge, huge resource for small businesses. You can create significantly powerful training videos for free, quickly and cheaply. Think about it, what you can actually achieve by using these cheap tools and the presentation skills that I am talking about today. So make sure your laptop is actually plugged in and adjust your camera level as and when it is necessary. Do always remember to actually press record. As I laughed at the beginning of this particular session, the opening gambit wasn't recorded. The December 21 CPD that I gave was a terrific session, one of my best. I was on top form. And when I got to the end of it, I realized I'd not pressed record. A whole hour and 35 minutes of my glorious, glorious face talking to the world about how to save tax was lost in the ether forever. So do make sure you press record. If technical issues do arise, adapt and overcome. It's one of the reasons why I keep this to hand. And a selfie stick. There was a marketing one of these, small business marketing one of these, where my home internet got cut by workmen outside the door, well, slightly down the road actually, cut through the telephone cable 10 minutes before I was due to start talking. It was the most popular of these sessions. There was 183 people booked onto it, of which about 120 actually turned up. And I delivered the whole thing on a mobile phone, on a selfie stick. Granted, there was no slides. Granted, I had to do it from the top of my head. I think my extensive notes consisted of 5 pointers on the back of an envelope that I had on my desk that I'd written just minutes beforehand, but the show must go on. So do have backup plans available to you. I did it off Wi-Fi at that, not even Wi-Fi, 4G on that particular occasion. That is also available on my YouTube channel, Small Business Marketing, for those of you that haven't seen it. Minimize potential interruptions. As I've said, make sure you close the door. Make sure you usher out your pets. Try and put your kids in another room and that they're away from you so that you don't have interruptions as much as you possibly can. Turn on mute and do not disturb, both on Windows and iPhones. I am a pain for not turning on do not disturb on Windows and constantly then having Outlook ping, ping, ping go through my videos. You will notice it often in the background. I apologize for those of you who listen to it. As the famous phrase goes, do as I say, not as I do. Stick your notes in the right place. Yes, there's nothing worse in any presentation than somebody sitting there with notes going, it is very exciting, and I am talking to you about these wonderful, exciting things because they are brilliant. Hopefully that even muffled as I did it as well, because I was holding that in front of my face. If you are going to give a straight talk with no presentation, you want to be able to have your notes out of sight, probably behind your microphone. Post-it notes are useful for sticking in the right place. If you are doing it on Zoom, even if you're not sharing a screen, it's easy if you have your camera above the screen, as I described earlier, to still have your notes on screen. I could be talking, I'm sharing my screen with you so you can see my notes, but I could have whole screen on my face and I could still see what you're seeing and talk to you about it. PowerPoint can be quite powerful for that purpose. The other thing you could look to do is actually have a dual monitor setup, 2 screens, in other words, and have your notes shown on one screen whilst you talk to the other. That does create that, which isn't as good as that if you're presenting. But it's worse things happened at sea. There is software that you can buy specific Zoom presentations and do the fancy stuff like put frames around it and your company logo and all that kind of thing. Visme is the one that I have experimented with. Yeah, they're good. There's nothing, they are good. A associate of mine uses Visme for a lot of his things. It does add a nice touch to it. I am too lazy. And I think I can get equally as good a result from what I'm doing without having the added complication of that step. Depends how much you want to do it. What it does do, though, is actually allow you to have presenter notes that only you can see, even if you're sharing screens and everything else. So you might want to have a quick look at something like Visme if you're going to use this a lot. The other thing that, again, not only can you do training manuals for your staff using this, this is an excellent tool to create videos for your website and your prospects. I am a massive fan of several small business marketing organizations. For the purposes of this video, they shall remain nameless. One of them is heavily promoting spotlight videos right now, whereby they will come and film you talking about your business. They will help you write that script and they will edit it and make it available to you for putting onto your front page of your website, such that when people land on your website, they press go, and for the first couple of minutes or minute, they get your mug talking to them. They're charging £600 plus VAT to do that. You can do that on Zoom in under 15 minutes for free, even with a free Zoom account, even if you're not paying for it. The key to those type of videos is to have a very sharp script, 60 to 100 words, edited, 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 edited. Set yourself that target. Be really strict on it. 60 words, 80 words, 100 words. Don't allow yourself to get 63 or 84 or something like that. Be really strict, really focused, so that you hone those words carefully. Use your camera, sit in your office or at home, or against your pop-up library banner, or whatever else it is you're going to do. Another alternative to a pop-up to a library banner would be to have a pop-up banner of your company logo behind you. I am not a massive fan of Zoom virtual backgrounds. They tend to give a fuzzy line around the individual. I think it's much better to pay that 30 quid and have the pop-up banner if you don't have anything decent. And put your 80-word script on the screen. Don't share that screen and talk to your camera using those words. So, using strictly what's in front of me at this minute, you would go, hi, my name's Rob Newman. Stick your notes in the right place. Just like when you're presenting in person, you'll likely want to keep your notes or pointers nearby you in case you forget something important. During a Zoom presentation, though you will need to be careful about where you place your notes, it can look very unprofessional and awkward if you keep your eyes away from the camera. You get the point. You now have a massively up-to-date, powerful resource that you control, that you can have as an unlisted video on YouTube and load up to your website. You can pump those out every week. You could be talking about everything and anything to do with your business. You can, if you hone that script properly, you can take the most complicated of introductory topics, hone it and make it available to people. There is a 6-minute video on my YouTube channel about family investment companies, which to a lot of people are massively complicated and technical. And I can tell you, I have signed 3 clients directly from that video who had no prior connection to Carter Collins and Meyer to create family investment companies for them. 6-minute videos, dead easy. Use less if you're putting it on your website. You want about a minute at most. That's people's attention span. So that was another point where I have gone off topic. Moving on, ditch the pajamas. There are a few of my earlier videos, particularly during lockdown, one where I'm sitting in this background, but in t-shirts. Nothing wrong with t-shirts, but and at least I had shaved my hair at that stage as well. I'm growing it back to normal now, but I am clearly not dressed up. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. It is probably better to put a shirt on. Ideally a jacket as well. I took my jacket off today because it was causing some strobing. Give thought to how you would present yourself, however you would normally present yourself to clients in a real life-to-life, face-to-face meeting. You want to do that the same on your videos. I am going through a resurgence myself of suit wearing. I always wore a suit. I was renowned for wearing 3-piece suits. And then 5 or 6 years ago, I started wearing less ties. I then moved more into sports jackets, not just because of the pandemic, but then probably 2 to 3 years ago, I gave up suits and ties and sports jackets and trousers and kind of moved across to jeans and t-shirts, jeans and polo shirts. Now, as everybody else has caught up with it, I've decided I've got now an interest again back in suits and ties. I actually used to like bow ties, and on a lot of videos you will now start seeing I'm wearing bow ties. I think part of that is to do with wanting to be different. One of the easiest ways to catch attention is if everybody else is quiet, shout, and if everyone else is shouting, be quiet. When the world was still wearing shirt, tie, and suit, I was in jeans and t-shirt. I stood out. Now the world is in jeans and t-shirt. I now wear a suit because I stand out. I updated my LinkedIn profile recently with a bow tie. Yes, it will put some people off, but I think it also makes me stand out slightly. And again, it is guerrilla marketing. If you are a small business owner, you need to find ways within your comfort zone to be seen. That doesn't mean be ridiculous to your client base, but you need to be able to be seen and heard above the crowd. So whatever everyone else is doing, go slightly different. In a similar vein, I have always always worn brown shoes within the accountancy profession. That was always a big no-no. Accountants always wore black shoes, etc., etc., etc. I think also dressing up, and this is something that has hit me recently, I kind of feel more work-like, and I feel like I've got more distinction when I then take it off, and the suit off, and go back into t-shirt and jeans. Last week, I spent a week in the Lake District. I got quite sunburnt, actually, which you probably may or may not be able to see on the video. I've got lots of peeling skin going on there from sunburn. I spent that week in jeans and t-shirts, and it felt like I was on holiday, having worn ties and stuff previously. So again, I think I am an advocate of moving back towards that kind of thing. But certainly ditch the pajamas, make an effort, and be aware of how you come across. Rehearse the presentation. It's always worth rehearsing beforehand. I have to be honest, I don't. As I said earlier, I'm of the Winston Churchill School. If you want me to waffle on, I'll happily do so for hours. I could quite happily now give a 2-hour talk about iPhone chargers. I'm that sort of person. But I would urge you to rehearse, prepare, and be aware of timings. Start with a bang. Not literally. Well, sometimes literally. I have done it literally. Easier in person. If I come and give talks to people about anything, depending on the time of day, I have a range of gags that I will use. If I am the first speaker after lunch, I will get everybody to stand up and stretch. The first speaker after lunch is the graveyard shift. It's terrible. Everyone's sleepy after eating. So get them to stand up and stretch to get some blood flow going. You caught their attention, you can get going. What did I do at the beginning of this? I had the picture of Sylvester Stallone. That was my big bang, followed by the cat. Everyone loves cat. If you don't start with a bang, people will likely doze off. In a similar vein, using pauses, I'll come back to the slide in a second, is also a good way of catching people's attention. You will notice the time you listen most to your television or radio is when it goes silent. 7 tips on the next slide as to how to get your presentations to be interesting and make people pay attention. So start with a shocking statistic. And what's the thing? 90% of statistics are made up on the spot. I just made that up on the spot. Tell a relevant joke, ask a question, quote an influential person. I often use quotes. That goes right back to when I sorted out my education. I had a bit of a broken education. I went to university a little bit later than some, and I started using quotes from that stage. At the beginning of essays, I think it's worth doing in terms of presentations. Use an interesting prop, tell a story, show a captivating visual. All worth considering, all worth putting into the beginning of Zoom calls. You could use video within video if you have something captured already. That could be the start of your Zoom presentation. Photograph is often the easiest way. Make eye contact with the audience. You will notice throughout this video, I have made a particular point of looking directly into the camera. Yes, I will look down, but when I do, I tend to just do it with my eyes as opposed to with my face. If I've been making a point specifically about being on the wrong screen, I've made it very obvious. There's nothing worse than having a Zoom presentation or any form of presentation where the speaker never looks at you. It is almost as bad as having one of those voices where they just talk to you like this. That applies equally if you're in the room with them. If you're in the room with them, make contact, eye contact with your audience. Look around the room at people. It's one of the easiest ways to win them over. Again, we're human beings. It's an interaction. It's why, again, I always suggest leave yourself in the top right-hand corner. Don't turn yourself off. It's easier to keep your audience's attention if a person is actually there. Regularly pause to engage. Yep, you'll have noticed I've done that all the way through this. Nice, long, regular pauses. If you've got something you particularly want to make seen or heard, draw it out. That's something that's well worth doing all the way through stuff. And again, use different tonal inflections as you speak. Record your presentation, talked about that. So we are 41 minutes into this. 45 minutes is the usual time frame, so I have 4 more minutes left, and we're pretty much at the end of it. Hopefully now you've got some great tips and ideas on how to give a Zoom presentation or even conduct Zoom meetings. The important thing on any meeting is to ensure that you have an actual written agenda. If you are using Zoom, I would also suggest you use Calendly. Other apps are available, but Calendly works brilliantly. Calendly. Don't ask me to spell it. I'm useless at spelling. Calendly.com. Calendly is an online appointment making tool. It is very flexible. It allows you to have in-person meetings, telephone call meetings, Zoom meetings, etc. If it's Zoom, it will take the person through to actually booking the Zoom call part itself. Follow what it says on the screen, or let me know and I'll drop you a copy, or I'll drop you a link to my internal training video for how to set up Calendly and Zoom. In so doing, one of the things that it makes the person do is ask or write out a list of what it is they want to talk to you about. That becomes the focus of the agenda of the meeting. If you're doing it the other way around, include what it is you want to talk about. It will keep you on track. Don't ever, 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 and I am terribly guilty of doing it, have unstructured meetings. They are just chats over coffee. Nothing wrong with that. Great way to make relationships with people. Certainly worth doing in business. I am still of the opinion business is done with people whom you know, like, and have some degree of trust for, particularly at the small level. People by people. We are not big brands that sell on our name, and your USP is definitely you. But always try to have that structure to it, even if it is you that is creating it. For accountancy and tax meetings, I worked out the agenda years ago and have them written out. I don't have it to hand easily. It's in my bag, which is down there, and I'd have to dig. I have it written out on a laminated piece of yellow paper. There are 18 questions to be covered in any accounts or tax meeting I have with a client. I literally put that in front of me as an aide de memoire. As you will have seen through this presentation, I don't sit and read it unless I'm trying to make a point, but I will scan down and make sure I'm covering it. Same applies to Zoom meetings, Zoom presentations. Have a structure, have a focus, have a purpose. If it's coffee and catch up, I would still have a theme for the week. Within your professional service business, something I would suggest you do is come up with 12 topics. Assign a topic to a month, and then for that month, say openly to everybody you meet, our theme for this month is, and then you've got a focus and structure to any conversations you are having. So, for example, Carter, Collins and Myers' theme for April 2021 is, do you know the profitability on each of the jobs you do? If not, why not? And how can we help you create the accounting system that is going to capture that? If you don't know the profitability on the jobs you do, how do you know whether you are actually profitable or not? And you could be wasting lots and lots of time, effort, energy, resource, or material on things which are pointless. Massively powerful question. Get lots and lots of people talking. For March, it was, what happens to your family if the worst happens? One of the key focuses of that then was creating a will and looking at relevant life insurance. Again, you can see how that opens up massive amounts of conversations. So have a theme for the month, have that to everybody you talk to. Even if you talk to people regularly, which you should be doing, you're then having something different every time you're speaking to them, or at least for the next 12 months. We have 12 themes that tend to just circulate round. Small businesses tend to have the same issues that arise every year. Yes, if something new and topical comes up, we may substitute a theme for a month, but you get the idea. So hopefully bang on time today. That has been useful. I have no questions at this moment. I will hang around for a couple of minutes once I've stopped talking to answer anything anyone may have. Please do feel free to contact me, inquiries at uk-ccm.com, www.uk-ccm.com. I'm quite happy to give any other tips and tricks about Zoom. Do look at my YouTube channel. There's lots of stuff on there. YouTube, Carter Collins Meyer. Telephone number is there. And as ever, if I can help with your tax, your accounts, your estate planning situations, inheritance tax, or any other thing that becomes horribly complicated to do with financial affairs, please do let me know. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Rob Newman, tax partner, Carter Collins and Meyer.